Today, Curt Cignetti signed an 8-year contract extension that raised his annual salary to $11.6 million per year. And on the heels of James Franklin being fired from Penn State, with Billy Napier likely being fired from Florida after this weekend's game against Mississippi State, and with all the other developments going on in college football, and maybe the Auburn job comes open, the LSU job can come open, college football and its developments are very chaotic right now. I was thinking to myself in abrupt reaction to the contract extension, what if Indiana is not just but the emerging power in college football? I think over the next few years we'll get an answer to that question, but I want to talk about why Indiana has a real opportunity here now that they've locked down Cignetti, now that he's come out in support of Indiana and has made it pretty clear he wants to retire here. Indiana's made it clear that they will pay him however much they need to pay him, pay his assistants however much they need to pay his assistants, and pay as many players as they need to win, and pay the players any amount that they need to transfer to Indiana or to stay at Indiana or to enroll at Indiana. Cignetti's here to stay. And I would expect, given the type of coach he is and what I've seen out of him, that Indiana will at least get a decade with him. About his contract. Maybe a little bit more than that. And it's only year 2. This is just beginning. So I want to discuss what I think Indiana is going to be moving forward under Cignetti and what they have been so far through 2 seasons, but I don't think people have entirely processed how good of a coaching job he's done, how awesome of a team Indiana is this year, and even how good they were last year. They're better this year than they were last year, but they were still quite an impressive operation last season as well. Indiana has the opportunity to improve off of last year's 11-1 season, where they lost to Ohio State on the road, but beat everyone else. They finished, again, 11-1, 8-1 in Big Ten Conference play, tied for second with Penn State. Penn State, due to tiebreakers, went to Indy. Indiana stayed home. They got a road game in the first round of the college football playoff, playing Notre Dame, where they also got dominated, much like they did against Ohio State. Now they have a chance to beat Michigan State this Saturday, and I think they will. Beat UCLA, beat Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. They have an opportunity to go 12-0. And Indiana going 12-0 with the financial commitment and administrative alignment that they have, and the coach and the staff they have, and also the fact that Indiana is number 2 in assistant staff salary pool, only behind Ohio State. And if they wanted to, they could probably pass Ohio State. If Ohio State wanted to, they could also pay their assistants more, but you're not going to pay more than what the market demands. The fact Indiana is that high in assistant salary pool, Cignetti's now the 3rd highest paid coach in college football, and their recruiting class this year compared to last year is better. They have been in competition with other big-time programs for blue-chip caliber players, and they have made some wonderful portal additions over the past 2 years, adding players that I'm sure other schools with better football history, with superior football history, would have wanted and did want. But they chose to go to Indiana. And now Indiana is a team that if you take out priors, they and Texas Tech are the 2 best teams in college football. Obviously, realistically, you probably got to add Ohio State in there, Alabama, Miami, maybe a few other teams, because priors matter. They help make sure your predictions and projections are accurate. But in terms of just raw efficiency metrics, it's been the Hoosiers and the Red Raiders that have been the most impressive so far this year, and that's not even adjusting for expectations. The efficiency ratings metrics will tell you those are the two best teams in football. That's what FEI says. That is what S&P Plus says. FPI says it's those two plus Ohio State in their own tier at the top of efficiency. Indiana has a chance to go 12-0, to win the Big Ten. They have a chance to win the national championship. That's insane. That's crazy. Even last year, the fact that they went to the playoffs was crazy. And now they might separate this team from last year's team by a pretty wide margin. They might just do that. And to lock down a coach who has taken one of the worst, if not maybe the worst, Big Ten program to those heights, to lock him down right now, middle of the year, which I think shows Penn State contacted his agent, or at least maybe there was some back channel contact between the two parties. And Cignetti says, no, I'm not going to go to Penn State. Heck, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stay at Indiana, where I have support, where I have backing, where statues will be built for me, where we will eventually upgrade the stadium, where we've upgraded facilities, where we are winning football games now and are one of the best teams in college football. That is massive. But that's just about this year, and I will make other videos talking about Indiana this year, why they can win it all, why they're such a good team. You should subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified about that. But I also want to discuss some reasons why they could be an emerging powerhouse and why I think they are. I sent out a tweet about a minute or two after it was announced by Matt Zenitz, I believe is how you say his name, that Indiana extended Cignetti, paying him $11.6 million per year, third in college football, only behind Ryan Day and Kirby Smart. And I said, there is a new powerhouse in college football, and it resides in Bloomington, Indiana. Some reasons I think IU's case to be a powerhouse is, number one, they have immense donor wealth. They have one of the largest business schools in the country, one of the largest alumni bases, and Mark Cuban has been donating to Indiana recently. He said that traditionally he is not, but after talking with Cignetti and being in contact with the administration, he's made some donations. That is a Larry Ellison type, like Larry Ellison's wealthier than Mark Cuban, but to have a super billionaire, an ultra wealthy, not just individual, but alumni, back you like that is critical. And I imagine they have others in the background who just aren't public yet that are supporting this operation. Something that, whether it's Texas or Michigan, I think Florida's this way right now. I think Michigan State's this way right now. Some of these schools, they have woohoo measuring contests. You know what I'm saying? Down there. They have woohoo measuring contests with their donors, where they're all divided, they're all tribal, they're honestly sometimes act like a bunch of morons, like a bunch of high school boys and girls. And they can't get behind a bigger picture and a line behind something great. Indiana is the opposite of that. Indiana, and I think Penn State's done a very good job at this. I think Ohio State has. Of course, when you win at the level they have, there's not much opportunity for donors to fragment like that, but that's a credit to Ohio State regardless. Those schools, the fact that I'm mentioning Indiana with Ohio State and Penn State in terms of backing their football operation, is insanity. That's not supposed to happen. And yet, it's the reality here. Indiana's donor wealth is key to it being a power. If they just had the coaches, the scouting, and those things attracted some recruits, and college football was chaotic, Indiana would be in a great position. But in order to have sustained success and to make sure you can keep these coaches, you have to have the money printing machine. You have to. For Indiana, trickling down from that, you have Cignetti as an elite CEO with elite assistant coaches and coordinators who are fantastic at developing. They scout at a high level. They build relationships. They are schemers. The staff, Indiana's staff, is the whole package right now. Now, will that stay together? I don't know. we'll have to see. But the one coach they had to replace and who they brought in to replace him, Chandler Whitmer, that exchange has gone pretty well. And with how Cignetti's managed games, how he's managed his team, how he's developed them, I would trust him to make new hires when necessary. I think that moving forward, Indiana, with the win over Oregon, with how elite their defense looks, and their offensive line has improved both in size, in terms of depth, why wouldn't you go to Indiana if they would give you a massive paycheck? Kamara's going to go to the NFL. D'Angelo Pons is going to go to the NFL. Aiden Fisher will. Tyreek Tucker will. Carter Smith certainly will. Elijah Surratt will. Omar Cooper Jr. might. All of these players I'm talking about, by the way, aren't just players who will be undrafted free agents, by the way, or will attend camps. These are players that will probably be drafted, some on day 2. Mendoza's being taken on day 1. He's consensus round 1 pick 1 quarterback right now of the NFL draft, or at least consensus first quarterback off the board. And I think he's the best quarterback in college football. Why wouldn't you go to Indiana if you were a recruit? Why wouldn't you? They're developing at every position. It's a fun place to play at. Not fun because it's lackadaisical and you can do whatever you want. It's fun because you'll be pushed, and you will be pushed hard. You will be coached, and you will be coached hard. And in exchange, you will get to taste the fruits of winning. And you will have a reward. You will be paid. You will be developed. You will be a part of something good. Again, this is what Ohio State has done. This is what Penn State at times under Franklin had, not to the degree of Ohio State or even this current Indiana team. So they fired Franklin and probably at some point even pursued Cignetti to earn that. This is what being one of the best teams and programs in college football is all about. And Indiana has that right now. And the current state of football also benefits Indiana here, because the current state is chaos. The current state is there aren't many rules to follow. It's controlled anarchy. And the reason it's somehow sustainable is because college football, to a certain degree, is not the real world. Again, it's controlled anarchy. There aren't many rules. There aren't many walls. There aren't many structures built within the giant dome that is college football. But there is a dome. There's just enough order to where this mass chaos is sustainable. And within the mass chaos, within the Colosseum, I think that's the perfect analogy here. When you're a gladiator inside the Colosseum, there aren't very many rules outside if you can't climb out of it. Within the Colosseum of college football, the rules are spend, 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 spend. That's rule number 1 right now. And if you outspend everyone on top of having elite coaches and on top of being able to get great players, and getting great players is usually downstream of spend, spend, spend. Relationships are very important as well, but spending, as Texas Tech has shown, in Miami and Oregon and Texas, and we know that Michigan and Ohio State and Texas A&M and Alabama, the top programs are the top spenders for the most part, with rare exception. Adding in top-end coaches that are better than some of the coaches at the top-end spenders puts you in a different category. And I think Indiana is in that category. So they are well set to turn the college football world upside down, to take advantage of the chaos in a way that some other schools won't because they're choosing not to. Some schools can't because they don't have Indiana's support. They don't have the coaching. They don't have the alignment, or they don't have the donors. I do think Indiana is a future powerhouse in this new era of college football. Thank you so much for tuning in to this video. I am getting to some other previews at a little slower pace because I was sick this week, but I did just want to touch on this as it's kind of breaking news, and I've been thinking about Indiana a lot. So even though this was pretty off the cuff, I had a ton of thoughts to give about Indiana as I have been thinking about them. There will be videos today and tomorrow discussing my key takeaways from Indiana's win over Oregon after I rewatch the game. I know it's pretty late, but again, I've been sick. But I'll get to those, same with the Oregon takeaways, and there will be other content relating to Indiana and just to college football in general today and tomorrow. And of course, next week, this Saturday, every day, as long as I'm not ill or having to attend some type of emergency or helping someone in my immediate family. I'll see you all very soon. Have a great day.